This is Portside Perspectives, exploring the yacht economy.
Welcome to Portside Perspectives. Today I'm sitting here speaking with Staley. Pronounce your last name properly for me so I don't butcher it.
Weidman.
Weidman, not Weidman.
Correct.
Weidman. And Staley is with the Catamaran Company, correct?
Yes, that's right, in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. And just so everybody knows, they have a beautiful website with all their information, catamarans.com. Is that correct? I'm not
Yeah.
the wrong
Catamarans.com, that's us.
right. Cool. All right. Well, Staley, give me a little bit of an idea of your background and your history and kind of your origin story of how you even got to be into this game and where you come from.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Sarasota, Florida. I went to school in New Orleans, and while I was going to Loyola University, I was running our sailing program and captain of our sailing team. And during that process, I was, raising funds for our program and taking yacht donations into the university, and also reselling those yachts, and then using the proceeds from that to fund our program, where we were purchasing racing dinghies, and lasers, 420s, FJs, that sort of thing. We worked very closely with Tulane University sailing program and shared a lot of facilities there in New Orleans. And I was a sailing instructor and instructor trainer for U.S. Sailing. And one summer before I graduated, I was in the British Virgin Islands and working for the Bitter End Yacht Club, running their junior sailing program and instructing the other sailing instructors there. And then also worked as a sailing instructor for Steve Colgate's offshore sailing school in Tortola. And I did that for a summer, went back to school, and after I graduated, I had a little bit of time to kill before my real career picked up, and was offered a position to work at offshore sailing school again in the BVI. Went back down there and worked for about 8 or 9 months, and then started doing freelance captain work for moorings, Sunsail, a lot of other charter companies in that area and in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And then was hired to be the operations manager for a company called Offshore Sail and Motor Yachts out of Nanny Key. Worked there for several years, managing a 35 boat fleet. We had sail and motor yachts in that program. And then after about 3 years there, I was hired by a company called Sun Yacht Charters. And at the time, we were merging with a company called Stardust Marine, a French charter firm. They were the biggest in the world at the time. And we were merging our bases in Tortola from Nanny Key and Augers Bay into a new facility that was under construction at Hodges Creek Marina, and that's where the Catamaran Company has their charter base now. And at that point, I was managing a remote charter base in Fajardo and Porto del Rey with 20 boats, and I had a manager there. And then I had a 90-boat charter fleet in Hodges Creek and 100 slips in the marina, small hotel, and fuel dock, and some retail space that I was managing there with a team of 50 employees. And after 3 years of that, I was offered a position in the yacht sales division of our company. We had someone who was working for us that was getting married and leaving the yacht sales market, and I took over their position in Tortola and was primarily selling new yachts into our charter program. And we were selling Beneteaus, Jeanneaus, Lagoons, and Voyage catamarans new into our program, and then selling pre-owned boats out of the program. Did that for a number of years, and then was offered a position with the Catamaran Company and moved to Fort Lauderdale in 2001. And I've been selling new and pre-owned catamarans with the Catamaran Company since then. So it's been 24 years here. Now I'm the CEO of the company and manage many of our larger transactions and high net worth and ultra high net worth clients. We've done a number of large sunreef builds. We were Lagoon's largest dealer in the world for a while. I think for about 15 years. And then now we are working with Aquila, who is the largest power catamaran manufacturer in the world. And we have just taken on their sailing line. So we'll be introducing the new Aquila 50 sailing cat. That first boat gets here to Florida on December 2025. And we'll be exhibiting that boat to the public at the Miami Boat Show in 2026 in February.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you had mentioned you wanted to talk about the Aquila partnership that you guys have there. So before we get into that, though, give us a little bit more of an idea about what the Catamaran Company, the company itself, is all about, and we kind of got a sense of where you came from. It's well, I'll let you kind of just run with that question. Give us a sense about what your brokerage is kind of focused on, and your locations and all of that.
Sure. Well, we're we sell a few monohulls, and we also own Annapolis yacht sales, but we're really focused on sale and power cats, both new and pre-owned. We're we own catamarans.com, so we get a shot at just about everyone out there, just because they find us with our web presence and our URL. But we've been 100% focused on catamarans since 1989, and we used to be a small division of a large automotive group in South Florida, and now we are independent and own a lot of property in the Annapolis area. We own 3 marinas. There, our biggest is Pier 7 Marina, and we have slips there for dozens and dozens of catamarans. We have a haul out facility. We can get catamarans up to mid 50 feet out of the water and service them at our Annapolis location at Pier 7. And we have offices in St. Pete, in Annapolis, St. Augustine, Fort Lauderdale, British Virgin Islands, USVI, and we've been around for a long time doing this, and it's our specialty. And I'm quite confident that any client that speaks to any of our brokers is going to get a huge depth of knowledge in a very short amount of time.
Right.
Catamaran.
You mentioned a number of marinas. Are those owned through the Catamaran Company, or are they through a different business name?
We use a different entity that does all of our property management. We own 19 properties in the Annapolis area. We own Gibson's Lodging, which is, I don't know, maybe a block from the entrance of the Annapolis Boat Show and at the entrance to the Naval Academy. So that's part of our property portfolio. And we don't have a huge amount of crossover there. Obviously, Pier 7, that marina services our clients quite well, and we keep brokerage and new inventory at that marina. And our plan is, when we're fully up and running with the Aquila program in 2025, we will have a 50 up at Pier 7 and a 50 in Fort Lauderdale, and then mid 2006 we will have the new Aquila 44 sailing cat, and beginning of 2027 we will have the new 63 Aquila sailing cat, and we'll be selling that primarily in the crude yachts.
I was looking at the 50, and that's a pretty impressive vessel. And then you say that they're 63 on the way.
Yeah, really breaking a lot of paradigms in what you see in cruising catamaran design. There's a number of features on this line of boats that you're not going to find from any other manufacturer that are very sensible and I think add value and convenience to the end user.
Okay. We were talking about the marinas there and all of that. I did notice on your website, as far as like service and maintenance, you're connected to a company called Multitech. Is that owned by the Catamaran Company, or is that a separate entity?
It's a separate entity, but we have ownership in it, and obviously our clients with our relationship with them, we get preferential treatment through Multitech. So it's another good reason to do business with the Catamaran Company. I'll give you an example. I was on a survey yesterday in Hilton Head, and we had a some cracks and some gel coat that we had identified on the bow of this catamaran. And within a few minutes, I was able to get some images out to Multitech and get an idea of what we'd be looking at for a repair and what the possible cost could be in a matter of minutes. So I think that's quite useful, whether you're a buyer or seller, to be able to have that kind of access from the brokerage team representing your listing.
I agree. And excuse me. Yeah, I was talking with a young fellow the other day down in South Florida area. Kind of started a small charter company, and then realized he needed service on his vessels, and found that it was tough to find a good service company. So he just started a service company of his own, and now that's grown and the charter's grown, and now he's moving into actually looking at starting a brokerage. So I mean, these businesses and just what they are, they do just mesh so tightly together. And when someone comes into a brokerage like yourself, to buy a vessel, if they have that service from buy to service to even potentially rent or charter within your company, I don't know, do you guys do any of that sort of thing?
Yeah, we have our charter operation in Tortola. We manage a boutique charter base out of Hodges Creek Marina. We've got 35 catamarans in that fleet from 40 to 55 feet. And then we work with another firm that we have an alliance partnership with called Paradise Yacht Management out of St. Thomas. And they've been doing a very good job looking after our crude yachts. So it's really from 50 feet and up, sail and power cats.
Oh, that's cool. So you're kind of the full gamut of everything when it comes to this world. Maybe not absolutely everything, but you sure got yourself spread out a fair bit, it sounds like.
Well, we have specialty divisions, unlike, these smaller mom and pop operations where you've got, one guy that's maybe a captain that's, brokering boats and, fixing things. We have specific teams that focus on these particular tasks. We have a in-house finance and insurance department. We also own Details. That's our closing and escrow division. So we have specialists in all fields to service our clients. It's not a broker trying to do that and not being a great broker or not being a great boat mechanic or not being a good boat captain or charter manager. We let everyone focus on where their strengths are.
Right, that's cool. Okay, so getting back to the Aquila partnership that you would start with, can you tell me a little bit more about, I guess, that partnership first of all?
Yeah, we're their exclusive distributor for the sailing cats for North America, the Caribbean, and Mexico. So we're in the process of setting up other dealers in the network here in North America. We're actively selling the boats into our charter fleet and also into crude yacht management with Paradise, along with private buyers that are looking to buy, cruising cats for themselves to utilize. We're very strong in the market, and Aquila, who's the largest powerboat manufacturer, or power catamaran manufacturer in the world, recognized our strengths and wanted to align themselves with us. And I think it's a perfect fit. We're really happy with the way the integration's been going. Even though the first boat arrives here next month, we've been working with them for over a year. Their design team and expertise is great. And what's really interesting is everyone from their team are really sailors, even though they build power cats. Every one of them has a very extensive sailing background. Lex Rassett heads up the Aquila development program, came out of the moorings and was with Beneteau Group and Leopard, and comes with a wealth of knowledge. It's a really great team, and they've been extremely responsive to feedback we've given them from ourselves, from our charter base, and from our owners and clients. They've really taken it to heart and used it to tweak the design. And I think we're going to probably see a few more changes on the boats coming out in mid 2026. But it's just the design's an absolute home run. It's a very refreshing integration from what we've experienced in the past.
And that's the 50 you're referring to right now?
The 50, yeah, and also with the 44. Those are the two models that are in front of us right now.
Okay, can you what just I want to know. I love boats probably just as much as you do. So what is it that's impressing you with this design? What's really standing out in your mind with the 50? And I don't know if you've seen the 63 or any designs for it.
The 63, there's some renderings. If you look at our site or AquilaBoats.com, you'll see the renderings for the 63. But in general, to get back to your question, we've got a good sail area to displacement ratio on the boat, so we're looking at good performance. We have an hybrid option. Matter of fact, our first boat is a hybrid boat. The other boats will have Volvo diesel inboards with sail drives on them. One of the unique features looking from the top down is that as you go from the flybridge forward to the foredeck, there's a direct walkway. And if you've ever been on one of the Aquila power cats from their yacht range, you'll know that from the helm, you can walk directly forward to the deck through a walkway and a couple steps that gets you there. On the front of the boat, it's a solid forward bridge deck, no trampolines, with a very innovative gullwing shape that disperses wave energy as the boat goes through the water in rougher sea conditions. The forward bow cabins are accessible from that forward cockpit. Every cabin has its own separate entrance, so there's no hallways in the hull that are taking up room that could be utilized for cabins. So what you'll find is if you look at the benchmarking of the boat next to any of the other competitors in that 48 to 52 foot range, you'll see that the Aquila 50 has the most interior volume. Also, in the 6-cabin layout, every cabin has its own separate head and a separate shower with a proper door on it, so there's no wet heads there at all.
I'm just sharing my screen here. I've got your website up here right now. This short video here that comes up and it just has like the renderings. I guess this is there. I mean, just as it's scrolling through here, you can see a lot of things you were mentioning.
Yeah, you can see the steps there from the fly bridge. The aft deck has a dinghy crane that lifts the tender up and puts it on the platform. There's a strut that extends out from the coach roof. That's something that they found to be extremely reliable and effective in the power cat range and is incorporated in the sailing cats. It's super simple and extremely reliable. We've had loads of issues with the hydraulic platforms that either go up on pillars or with straps and hydraulic rams. They're just they look neat, but they're just not reliable enough. And I feel like Aquila's really solved that challenge in the market. In the cockpit of that boat, it has the two distinctive bar stools with that opening hatch between the galley and the cockpit area with two fixed stools there, separate entrances from the cockpit into the aft cabin, a very light and airy interior, a forward opening cockpit door that's very popular in the larger sailing cat range, forward facing nav station, an office in the owner's cabin. All the guest cabins have small desks and seating areas. It's just a really innovative boat, and I think one of the things that people will appreciate long term not only is the design and functionality, but the boat, the structural components of the boat. There's no wood utilized in there. So in the past, we've seen a lot of balsa core being used in decking and in hulls in a lot of the European and French built cats. You don't find any of that in the Aquila. There's no wood in the construction except finishes and the cabinetry in the interior. All the bulkheads and the entire hull are built with vinyl ester resin. All of it is resin infused, and all of the bulkheads are perimeter bonded into the boat. So it makes for a really strong boat that's going to last a long time without any water intrusion issues that you'd have with some of the other builders currently that use polyester resin, balsa coring material, plywood, bulkheads. All the bulkheads are resin infused, laminated closed cell foam bulkhead. So keeps the boat light and very strong for a lifetime.
Cool. Okay, just to shift gears a little bit, then as far as I mean, it sounds like you're a pretty big company. You got offices in a number of places. I assume, like any other brokerages, you do rely on a lot of the word of mouth referrals and face to face interactions with your customers and clients. Um, as far as marketing, how are you guys bringing new customers in and trying to get new buyers and new sellers? Because you do deal with used boats as well, right?
Sure, yeah, that's a huge part of our business. We typically are doing over 100 closings a year. The majority of those are pre-owned cats. We have catamarans.com. Our site is constantly being updated. We network with brokers in the industry with our listings and updates. We pay full commissions to outside brokers, so it creates a huge incentive for brokers and the brokers inside of our firm to sell our listings. And we do have a huge amount of repeat and referral business. We're very grateful for that, and that's one of our strongest marketing pillars. But we also have a lot of growth, and I think with taking on Aquila, that's bringing in some new buyers. We did some very special presentations with some of our early clients that have ordered Aquilas with us, and also with a lot of people that were interested in having a presentation on the brand and the product. And one of the things that I was most impressed by, surprisingly, is that at the Annapolis Boat Show, the sailboat show, one of the first things we would ask people when we were doing presentations was if they were familiar with the Aquila PowerCat brand. And I would say well over 90% were already familiar with the brand and recognized them as a quality leader in that segment of the market. And I think that's going to help us out in the future quite a bit. We're getting crossover where we get some people that have owned Aquila PowerCats before. We work very closely with a team at MarineMax. They have buyers are interested in sailing cats, even though they are 100% a powerboat dealer. It just gives you an idea of the kind of integration and synergy we have in our segment of the business.
Right. I mean, I understand the business and why it's a very, face to face. People want to trust who they're dealing with. They're spending, some pretty big dollar values on some of these vessels, used or new. And it does make sense that there is this very personal aspect to the sales process and all of that. But like you said, your website, it's a beautiful website. I was just scrolling through it, looking at all you have on there. It's very updated and modern. It looks good.
It's always
And
getting better. We've got updates that are going to be rolling out probably end of 2025 and 2026, just making it easier and more useful for clients to search and
right.
research brands on our site.
Yeah. And do you do any, I mean, obviously the website is one thing. You've got some search engine optimization dialed in on the back end of that, I'm sure. But are you utilizing any paid advertising through just like Google ads or Facebook market or Facebook ads or anything like that? Or is that just doesn't make sense for you guys? Give me a sense of where you're at with that.
No, we definitely do that. We try to be very judicious where we spend our money on marketing. We're connected on social media through Facebook. Our marketing team does a great job on Instagram, and if you follow any of our feeds, you'll get a lot of data, things like new listings, charter boats, information about things going on in the industry, new announcements. Instagram has really probably been where we've seen the most amount of growth on our leads and interests, and it's something that we can measure along with all of these, but that's where we've seen the most amount
That's super interesting to me. I mean, it's why I asked this question. I mean, I'm in the marketing biz as well, but it's always interesting to me to see what people are doing and what's working and what's not working for them. And of all the brokerages that I've spoken to so far, you're the first to bring up Instagram being one that is, really hitting it out of the park out of all of them, which is interesting considering what Instagram is. Um, can Do you have any sense of why it's doing so well on Instagram outside of other places?
I don't think it's necessarily because of us. I just think that culturally, it's a good place to go to see things that interest you. And when people, are interested in something in catamarans, then they start getting those feeds
Right.
with having to, register on a website and give them, their email.
Yeah.
Every time I start a meeting with people, I ask them, does anyone here get too many emails? Everyone says yes. So, it sort of begs the question, why are we sending people emails then if everyone's getting too many of them? But we're sending, fun, interesting things. So maybe that helps us out with our readership. But owning catamarans.com, the reality is we get probably on average well over 90% of our leads come from catamarans.com. It's just a catch-all, and even though we have our listings on various MLSs, Yachter on yachtbroker.com,
Yeah.
on Right Boat, Yacht World, Catamaran site, which is now a yacht site. Catamarans.com by far gives us more traction than all of those combined together.
Right. And I got a feeling, like you had said, being an exclusive distributor for Aquila here in North America is just going to make that probably blow up even more. I can only see that getting nothing but bigger now.
Yeah, it's going to drive traffic. I mean, we represent other brands, into charter, Fountain Bijou and Bali, but I think this is going to be our strongest source of new yacht sales and leads going forward for sure.
Cool. Okay, so I mean, now all of this we've been chatting about here and all the good things and the things you're doing well. Um, I gotta ask, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing? I mean, as the CEO of a reasonably large brokerage spread out all over the place, and all the different things you're doing, from selling of used new boats to charters to dealing with your marinas and all of that. What's probably the biggest hurdle or biggest challenge that you face?
In our brokerage business, it's just working with inexperienced and disorganized outside firms and brokers. We have a very efficient sales process, and that's where we typically see things slow up. When we're moving quickly and moving transactions through, that all seems to be where we get hung up. When we do transactions inside of our firm where we have buyer and seller both represented with one of our brokers, it seems to go much quicker. I'm also on the board of directors for the Certified Professional Yacht Broker program, and I find that anytime we do transactions outside of our firm with CPYB brokers, they're definitely easier and more professional to deal with. They've got, the paperwork organized. Importation duty and tariffs are something that's new in the news. We've been, judiciously collecting importation duty, the Custom 7501 form, from all of our sellers for decades. And there's many firms that are just getting caught up to speed on that now that the tariffs are a big issue. But we've got solutions for anything that comes up, and we are in a position to move as quickly and efficiently as our clients are ready to go.
But you're saying that the only real stumbling point would be dealing with those outside brokers that aren't inside your system, that is fine tuned, and that's kind of just the stumbling.
There's plenty of good firms and brokers outside as well. But you were asking me about what slows us up the most. That is definitely it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm not trying to poo-poo on the brokers themselves, but because they're not actually within your brokerage and not into your system that seems to be dialed in and moves fast, that would make sense that it is a stumbling point, I guess, that just kind of slows things down a little bit. Is there anything else that you face as challenges within the entirety of that firm?
The one of the things that we're really seeing, uh, I think the future of our business, and back to Aquila, I think the quality of marine products have always been a challenge. Anyone that's owned a boat has faced some sort of reliability challenge during their term of ownership, and we really feel like working with a better firm like Aquila, things don't always go perfect, but working with a firm like that that's really focused on creating value, but having that value also being very high quality and high levels of reliability make a huge difference going forward. We're also seeing, like in these boats, they use the C-Zone system. We're seeing a lot of integration now where almost any of the manufacturers that make chart plotters all have some sort of NEMA switching system where systems on the boat can be monitored and controlled from a flat panel, like a chart plotter. Raymarine's got their onboard system that works really well and integrates with a number of other type of Plex systems that are extremely reliable. And that's, I think, the future of what we're starting to see. The vessel management software, we're evaluating a couple different systems right now that will likely be integrating in the future, that helps out with warranty processing, and also managing service and maintenance intervals. It's fine, reading through a manual, but having real-time reminders about your yacht to make sure it's going to be more reliable and easier to own and operate. I think is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. When you take a step back and look at a lot of the newer vehicles nowadays with the onboard computers and systems they have to monitor everything on board a vehicle like a car, and all the notifications that are as a driver you can get, forget what a mechanic can get when they plug their computer into it. Um, that's cool that that technology is now kind of shifting over into uh, almost a Star Trek like thing where you just pull up a computer screen and find out what's going on within your vessel from bow to stern.
Starlink's making that a reality, where having to connect a yacht, as it's traveling around's never been easy. But we don't sell a new private yacht that doesn't have Starlink on it anymore. I've been involved in a lot of large sunreef builds, and all the new sunreefs I've built, we've all gone with Starlink systems in there, and they link in with all the vessel management systems. Even the air conditioning on the boat can be managed by the captain remotely.
That's yeah, that's
With
cool.
cameras and
Yeah,
monitoring systems is great.
yeah, that's neat. It's cool to see that. It's surprising it hasn't happened sooner, to be honest. I mean, Starlink is relatively new, and I'm sure it's a huge thing to give people access to internet pretty much wherever they are. I have it and I love it. I love the Starlink. It's almost better than my internet at my house. But as far as the rest of the technology and information and data from the vessel itself, I'm actually kind of surprised that that hasn't been around longer.
Yeah, well, I don't feel that it's been cost effective, or the systems have been robust enough to be fully embraced by the industry and the end users. But now I really feel like that's changing. The other thing too that we're seeing change, and we saw this in during COVID, is the sort of YouTube phenomenon where people can see other people that are very much like themselves and maybe come from places or situations that are similar to people at home. And I find that when when people are viewing a lot of these YouTube videos, that through Starlink people are able to easily upload and document their voyages on their yachts and their adventures, and share those, that people sitting at home go, hey, that cruising couple with two kids that are, young, they're sailing around, in the South Pacific, and they're running their business, remotely through a Starlink, and it looks like they're having a good time, and it's an interesting lifestyle. That's something we could do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that's really grown our segment of the business, the cruising families and couples, tremendously. We've seen a huge growth in the 30 to 40-year-old groups of people that don't have to retire to go cruising, but can continue to operate their businesses, or whatever it is they do, manage their property or anything remotely. And I think that's given people a tremendous amount of freedom, to where buying a cruising yacht and taking off, long distance before retiring is a reality. It's totally possible
Yeah,
to do. I mean,
a
we all
hundred percent. Yeah,
physically be somewhere for something, but it's not impossible.
yeah. And on that same point, I mean, obviously the internet has given people that ability to remotely, like you're saying. Starlink now pushing it to work even more remotely into places where internet wasn't available before. But on top of that, the internet over the last several years, just giving people access to so many different opportunities across the board, has created more billionaires and millionaires than have ever existed before. Are you noticing that you're seeing more people buying yachts, or younger people? Maybe just the demographic is changing. I mean, you kind of touched on it already. Some younger people that, because they can work remotely, or say, why buy a house? I'll go buy a yacht and sail around the South Pacific with my family and work on my boat. But I mean, outside of that, are you seeing any trends with people that are younger in general buying because they are becoming millionaires more and more frequently nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I remember 20 years ago, you'd have someone that's 35 years old talking to you about buying a cruising boat, and it would feel like that's not a very realistic thing for someone that age to be doing, where now it's not uncommon. So, to answer your question, the paradigm shift we've seen in our clientele are definitely younger cruising couples that are, more adventurous. And I think, having a cruising catamaran is sort of the same thing, like people getting, like RVs and like tricked out sprinter vans and stuff like that. And really what that I think means to people is it means freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
the idea to go anywhere and do anything on their own agenda is very empowering, to be able to live your life like that. And
Right.
it, it's a cliche, but life's short, and there's some really good opportunities to do it. And what you feel like doing in your 30s and 40s, you may not feel like doing in your 50s and 60s or 70s for that matter. But with improved healthcare and people having the confidence of seeing other people like themselves going off on these great adventures, it's grown our cruising market segment of catamarans uh, more than we could have ever hoped. And it's something I say to my colleagues in the industry, that our real challenge is to move the needle in yacht sales like the way COVID did. During COVID, there were no boat shows. Nobody went to boat shows. And we all had, great sales years. We were selling boats constantly without having huge marketing or travel expenses, and boat shows, which are, just outrageously expensive now. So it's all possible to do, and it's
Mm-hmm.
possible to do through the technology. We do walkthrough videos constantly with clients to get them comfortable very quickly without having to, get on a plane to see what a specific boat looks like or the
Mm-hmm.
condition. And we can show them, every aspect of it. WhatsApp's been really useful. I mean, that's a robust tool that we weren't using 5 years ago, but now we use consistently every day, particularly with our international clients. That's another shift. And then the other shift we've seen is bigger cats. I remember 20 years ago or 30 years ago, a 60-foot cat was like enormous. It's like the biggest thing you've ever seen. And now 80-foot cats are getting pretty common. Every builder's got a 70 or an 80-foot cat in their range, whether it's a sail or power cat manufacturer. So that's another shift that we've seen, and also first time boat buyers starting out with bigger boats than they would likely use, things that just make it easier to operate the boats, better quality, bow thrusters, things like that that make them easier to operate, video cameras around the boats that are visible in the chart plotters. These are all things that make boat ownership easier, and break down barriers of ownership, to where people just realistically wouldn't think about starting out with, their first boat as being a 50-foot cat some time ago. Now it's not uncommon. And if you look at what you can pack into, a modern 50-foot catamaran, there's a lot of space and a lot of livability there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking just at some of the images on your website there. It was pretty impressive, knowing that this is a catamaran, and looking at the stateroom, and they're going, how does that even fit into there? But I mean, it's pretty cool. Okay, well, I know it's been super fun talking with you, and just almost bombarded with information from you here. But before I wrap up, I kind of ask a fun question of everybody. It's kind of a two-parter. Is there a favorite place that you've ever sailed to, or powered to, whatever, that kind of really sticks out in your mind? And second part would be, is there a favorite vessel that you've ever been on or been a part of that really kind of holds a place in your heart and sticks in your memory?
Good questions as usual, Jason. There's a lot of seasonality that goes on with sailing, and one of my best experiences for summertime sailing has been sailing in Turkey. I've done a couple trips there, one going east up towards Fethiye and Göcek, and then another one going west up towards Bodrum, all out of Marmaris. And I think for summertime weather and cruising, and if you want to get away from it, or if you want to be in the middle of a party scene, you've got all aspects of it. You have the ability to jog between the Turkish coastline and some smaller Greek islands like Rhodos and Simi and Kos. I think summertime, that's just like one of the best places in the world to do a week or two of sailing. And regarding boats, I have when I used to live in the Caribbean, and when we were at Sun Yacht Charters, we started bringing in voyage catamarans, and they had a very very sexy looking 43 and 44 that we had a lot of success selling privately and primarily into charter. But I had a couple that I'm still friends with, Rick and Robin. Many cruisers know them. They had a boat called Endangered Species, and that boat, at the end of its 4-year charter term, they purchased that boat, went cruising, and optimized the boat for racing, and won a lot of big cruising races. And I've raced with them in BVI Spring Regatta and Curacao and Fiji Regatta Week and various other places. Rolex and the Bahamas. They've done a great job racing when they first got the boat, and then shifted gears and turned it into a total cruising boat. And out of all the clients of mine that had the ambition to sail around the world, they're one of the few people who have actually done it, and didn't just do it and complete the circumnavigation. They kept cruising after that. So in the off season, they would leave their boat in St. Pete, and then the rest of the time they go cruising in the Bahamas. And I think they're probably on their third or fourth set of engines in that boat. They just sold it last year to a very good friend of theirs and another good client of mine that I'd sold a few boats to. But really, I think that's pretty impressive how much life a boat like that can have. People think, oh, 4 or 5 years, or after charter, there's not a lot of life left in it. And those guys have owned that boat for 25 years and sailed around the world in it after it did
That's impressive for
5
sure.
years in charter.
Yeah,
So that's a real standout. They're smart people and very good sailors, so that adds a lot to it. But they also learned a lot along the way and have incredible memories and stories, and they don't go anywhere that's around marinas where people don't recognize them.
Yeah. Well, Staley, it's been awesome talking with you. You have a lot to say, and I hope people go and check your guys' website out and come talk to yourself or your brokers about the new partnership you have with Aquila. And kind of looking forward to seeing some images on your website firsthand, maybe some videos of that 50 when you get it here in December. And is there any place you want to, before we sign off and say goodbye here, is there any specific places you want to send people other than Catamaran? Hang on, just make sure I say catamarans.com. Like any socials that you guys have specifically that you want people to check out?
I think our Instagram feed's very good, so that's a good source to find information. Obviously, you put in Catamaran Company, you're going to to find us. We have charter feeds and also from our yacht sales side of things and stuff about our company. But catamarans.com is a good trusted source of catamaran information that anyone can rely on. But our YouTube channel, I think, is particularly interesting for people that have a little bit more time and maybe want to go beyond scratching the surface. We've got some really great playlists there. I was involved in the build of the first Sunreef 80 Eco Power Catamaran. We completed that boat in July of 2023. It was a 2-year build process and very technical. But we have, I think, a 6-episode documentary series focusing on the build of that boat, and I think it's a real success story as far as electric propulsion and amazing solar capability. That boat has 1 megawatt of lithium battery power on it. And,
I'll have to go check that out.
I think anyone will find the series fascinating on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll be checking it out for sure. Okay, Staley, again, it was great speaking with you. I'll let you go. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we're so close to the weekend here. I'll say have a good weekend as well. And that's it.
That's great. Thanks, Jason. It was fun chatting.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for sailing with us. This has been Portside Perspectives.